Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience, where we discuss ways how we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bader, your host for Branding the Experience, and we have a great show today because we have an awesome guest. We have Lorianne Vaughan speaks with us today. Prior to starting her virtual assistance company, which she runs now, she has over 15 years of professional experience supporting top 100 thought leaders as they built their businesses. Lorianne is a best-selling author of Voices of the 21st Century, as well as making the final edits to her upcoming book on starting a company at 60, which we're going to talk about, which details the good, the bad, the ugly of building your own company. Lorianne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm so happy to be here.
Not as happy as I am, because this is going to be a great conversation. It's something a little bit different than we usually do on this show, because we'll talk about giving pure visibility to speakers and authors and those folks, but also segue into a lot of the service-based companies that we serve, restaurants, financial institutions, and so forth, and how they can apply that. But before I even get into that, apparently you got laid off at 60. I got laid off. I was in my early 30s. I can't imagine what it was like getting laid off in your 60s. Tell us about that.
What am I going to do? I live in Lowell. I knew my employer. I knew it was coming. She was 75 and decided to sell the company. And although she still gives speeches here and there, she sold the company and it really didn't make sense to keep me on full time. So there I was. And even though I knew I had a lot of information, legacy knowledge, and skills that could be very useful, corporate America didn't seem to think a 60-year-old was, the way to go.
So you got laid off and you wound up, smelling like a rose, as they say. It's always nice when, you end up in one way, shape, or form losing a job and then creating something that makes even more money, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? It's so much more fun again. I think, we talk about when you start a company, make it something you're passionate about. And I don't know that necessarily I was passionate about what I was doing at first, but I knew it was what my superpowers were.
Sure.
I knew I can support my speakers and authors and podcasters because that's what I've done for the last almost 2 decades.
Sure.
And but now it actually has turned into a passion for me. I'm so enjoying this part of my life. Like you said, I've written a book. I've got another one coming out. It's like, who knew? I was the behind the scenes person. I'm the detail queen,
right?
Is what I am. I am the detail queen. I make sure nothing falls through a crack. And so that my speakers and authors can just do what they do best, put their message out there, and know that I'm taking care of things for them. So I know that that's my superpower. And now it's actually become something I'm passionate about because I'm at a stage in my life where I love to mentor. And so some of my clients may be on the beginning end of speaking and they need someone to kind of hold their hand and take them, to the promised land. No,
sure.
But to help them get to the next level. And I think everybody kind of works that way, even if they think that they're at, a really great level, they always want to level up, right?
Right.
And so there are ways to do that, whether it's growing their presence in social media or just getting on more stages. These are things that we help them accomplish.
Right. Right. Well, let's talk about your superpowers a little bit, which is obviously amplifying your visibility and message, which is a big part of the second half of our tagline in order to keep customers coming back, whether you're a service-based business or a consultant or a speaker, you want those clients coming back. You want those customers or members coming back. One thing as a side note that I'm very proud of is very often
Definitely. Definitely.
I'll get clients that I haven't worked with for 3 or 4 years, and they come back to me and say, "Yeah, I need a little help again." And those,
Yeah.
frankly, are those are
Isn't it
golden to
great?
me. Yeah, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
we left on good terms. You got something out of it, and now you're
Yep.
coming back. So, in order to keep people coming back, or even coming to you in the first place, talk about your superpowers. What are maybe the top 2 or 3 things that you work with your clients on amplifying their visibility?
And with each client, it's a little different because I have a certain level of clients that are in the corporate leadership space,
Mm-hmm.
and they are very well established. One is a very prolific writer, and so she's constantly got new articles out every single week. And yet she doesn't have the time to create the tweets and have that consistent, social media done. So I take all her articles, create the tweets, and load them up and make sure that she's tweeting on a very consistent level. Another one is on the older side, and I love her because she totally embraces the fact she wants nothing to do with technology.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually service her on an administrative level because she doesn't want to work from a calendar. So we take that, all her calendar items, all her travel, all her speeches, all her calls, and that's put into a Word document that is updated anytime there's a new update to happen. So that could be daily.
Mm-hmm.
So that she has a Word document on her desk so she knows exactly what she does next. We're there to help them with whatever
Sure.
their pain point is. So for me, it's all about the service and delivering even more than I've promised,
Right.
in a very, timely manner. So at this point, really about 95% of my clients are referrals from other clients.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I'm really thrilled about that. I really am. So I have a certain level that kind of pay the bills, and then I have the young ones that I love to help and say, here you go. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll even start consulting with them on a very minimal level,
Sure.
so that it just, like, there was one that just needed to stay on track and do the different things that she needed to do.
Right.
And so for $200, I had a Monday morning call each Monday for a month to just say, okay, so did you do everything I told you to do last week? I felt like mom,
Yeah.
okay, did you do your homework? But that's what makes it so fun for me, is the
Mm-hmm.
fact that each client's different. So I get to use different skill sets that I have, and I have these other women in my company
Mm-hmm.
that help on a technical level. Like, I'll be real frank, I'm 61 years old, almost 62. I will sit there and I will say, I am not technically that great. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
great end user, but if something goes wrong, it's like,
I'm not the
okay,
person.
I'm not the person. Bree, I need you, that kind of thing. So I think everyone needs to have people on their team. No one should be doing it all by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're spending half your time doing the administrative stuff, you're never going to scale your business to the next level because you're too busy doing all the work over
Right.
here to be able to do your high ticket activities over here.
Yeah.
I had a client that said when she hired her first VA, she was a coach. She went from $1,500 a month By the end of the year, she had hit 6 figures.
Yeah.
Because she had taken all that stuff off her plate, which gave her 7, 8 more hours in a week to do the coaching,
Right.
which was at a way higher rate than, you know, a VA would come in and take budget wise.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, I want to go back to one of the things that you said is you talked about pain points. And you know, obviously, finding a team, finding people to do the things that you're not good at, whether you're, you know, literally, whether you're running a restaurant or a speaking organization, training organization is key, because they can do it, you know, for a lot cheaper and a lot faster than you could do it probably. But when it comes to finding the visibility for your business, what are some of the top pain points that you've seen with your clients?
Well, here's something that I tell my speaking clients, and this can be the case for anyone, whether you're a spa owner or whatever. Whether you like it or not, business is being done in social media. So you need to be on all the social media platforms. I even hire someone separate that does my Pinterest and Instagram. And who knew that Pinterest, I always thought it was just, you know, a bunch of women who were pinning things that they wanted to do to remodel their house or whatever.
Sharing pictures of shoes and stuff. And it's
and it's like, you know, no, I'm not interested. But I came to realize that it is the #2 search engine in the world is Pinterest. People get on Pinterest. But be on all the social media, but focus in on where your clients will be.
Right.
So if you're in leadership or corporate branding or along that line, you want to really focus on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you are a coach or a personal trainer or things along that line, you want to do Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. That's where your people are. Although I say all of them. You need to be on all of them. And so like if you're just getting started and don't look at my Twitter because I am the cobbler with no shoes.
Got it.
Okay, I'm too busy doing everybody else's. I think I have a whopping like 115 followers. Okay. So do as I say, not as I do. But go in and follow the icon in your field. If it's leadership and you want to follow Marshall Goldsmith, who has millions of followers, you know, or you're a coach and you want to follow the icon in your field. I always say, who is it you want to be when you grow up, right? Follow them. Comment. As long as your comment has value, is authentic, and is appropriate, you will not only be noticed by that icon, but the thousands of followers that icon has watching their tweets or their posts that they put on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Comment so that people can see your insights have value, and that will grow your following. It takes time though. If you see the ad that says, we're going to get you to 10,000 followers in 1 month. Oh, I was going to use a dirty word, but I won't. It's baloney. It's baloney. Okay. This takes time. It takes time. And unless you're, you know, Barack Obama, you're not going to get the $100,000 for a speech, and you're not going to have 6 million followers right away. Just, you know, the realities are it takes time, but you never know. As long as you're putting yourself in front of those ideal clients and making intelligent comments, you will be noticed. So that's my
Yeah, a lot of very good advice there. I do think Barack Obama is overpaid, but
They,
so
they
so
all are.
so we don't make it a political show. In the advice that you gave, um, watching and following and not copying but borrowing
No.
from a leader in your industry, whether it's a speaker or icon, or even in other service-based business industries. For instance,
Exactly.
one of my clients wants to be this very large financial institution and have a nationwide brand recognition, if you will, in a particular
Hmm.
space. And one of the things that I had suggested is that, you know what, instead of trying to recreate the wheel, let's take a really close look at what USAA has been able to do. Let's look at their commercials. Let's look at their website. Let's look at their messaging, because you want to do something very similar with a different niche audience without having all this brick and mortar like Citibank or Wells Fargo. So rather than using Wells Fargo as a model or doing this from scratch, let's look and see somebody like USAA that's not only doing it well, but it's considered to be a very, very positive brand, and see what we could do to copy, not steal, but copy some of the
Really.
things that they're doing. So that's great advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could get into USAA. They're so much less expensive to get, insurance from, but I'm not a military, spouse or ex, or even, my dad didn't sign up, so you don't get to do it. But,
You got to find a military person in your family somewhere.
yeah,
God
that's
bless my
still alive.
yeah,
Yeah.
God bless my father-in-law who is in the Navy, so we got it.
Yeah, my dad was, but I didn't know about it until it was too late. But yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to take those leaders in the field and yes, not copy them, but in actuality, you kind of can in tweeting, for example. If you love something that they've said, you retweet it and just say, I love what, and you tag them what, John Q. Public
Mhm.
said in this, because he's then notified that you retweeted his tweet.
Right.
So that's also something that I very much recommend. If you see something that just really lands for you and it fits, and you can go, wow, we're doing this too at ABC Corp, so that, but tag them so that you're getting all of their audience will see the
Right.
retweet too.
Yeah, that's
So
a real
yeah,
smart tip. Yeah, because if you're tagging them, you're giving them credit, and you're especially if you're not a direct competitor, then you're
right.
giving them their accolades too. That's a great tip.
Yeah, yeah. It really helps because it will be seen as a positive instead of, a negative. Because if they come
Right.
across it and they haven't been tagged and given attribution per se,
Right.
then it could be a little stinky. So yeah, and like I say, when you tag them, all their people see that what you've retweeted.
Yeah.
So if they missed it, I've even been known to go in and say, wow, great information from John. Thank you so and so for bringing this to my attention.
Right.
So you're tagging both of them, and they appreciate the retweets. Because do you realize that in the Twitter sphere, only 1% of tweets are actually retweeted?
I wasn't aware
There's
of that.
a little piece of information. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a piece of information for you.
Yeah.
So don't get upset when your tweets only have like 1 or 2 hearts or
Yeah.
something along that line. The likelihood is you have to grow that audience so that it fits. It's all the what do I want to call it? What's it called? It's called algorithm. See, I'm not a math
Right.
person. All an algorithm, no matter what you're in. So as long as it's continuing, it will be seen. So
now we're gonna make you
there you go.
spell the word algorithm and see. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, let's not. Let's not.
But yeah, I never really thought about Twitter in that way. Even though I'm on Twitter, it's almost like an afterthought because I love LinkedIn. It's my favorite social media platform. I get traction, I get connections. I find that that's where, for the type of business that I'm in, it's my best platform and the one that I find myself on the most. But yeah, I come to think of it, I've never retweeted or had anybody, to my knowledge, retweet any of the crap that I put out there on Twitter. So that's a good tip.
I actually have clients that I go in and specifically retweet for them when I see that something could be useful that is in their genre and whatnot. I'll go in and retweet for them. It's a plus that you're doing for that person as well.
Right.
As well as my client. So yes, please retweet. If you want to get their attention, retweet.
Interesting. Well, let's go to the message part. We've talked a little bit about visibility, being a branding show. Let's talk a little bit about brand messaging. What are either some of the pitfalls that you see with your clients, or possibly some of the things that you've done that say, what, we did this with brand messaging and it really worked for this particular business, one or the other?
Yeah. Well, I am not a brand expert. However, I'm a true believer in niching down as far as you can get.
Yeah.
That's why I myself in my company only support speakers, authors, and podcasters. That's what I know. That's who I can help and have the most background to be able to really be of service. In doing so, as you niche down, you are then in front of your ideal clients 100% of the time. So with regards to branding, stick with your ideal client. I know we call them avatars now, people. I'm old. I'm sticking with ideal client because that to me totally spells it out.
Yeah.
I always picture the big blue guy in the movie. So
right. Me too. I don't, as a brand expert, I don't identify necessarily with the word avatar, but ideal client or ideal prospect, that I get completely.
Thank you. That to me makes total sense. I think for the first month that I was in this one group, on Facebook, everybody's talking about an avatar. I'm like, what the hell? What are we talking about? And because I am not a video gamer.
Me neither.
So it's just like, it just went zoom right over my head.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. It's called an ideal client. So really brand for your ideal client. That's the only thing that I can say on that level. I don't even have a logo on my website. I don't have like the brand messaging, I haven't gone through all of that because I know who my customer is. I know who I want to attract. And so I just do it organically, should I say. Yeah. Sure. So, and I don't need to be a millionaire. It's not that important to me. As long as I can pay my bills and I want to go somewhere a couple of times a year.
Yeah, right.
That's all I need. I've reached a point in my life, the house is paid off. I have a very low nut to crack. So my whole mission in the back is to hire more women like myself.
Right.
Or the younger ones that are marginalized, that still have so much to offer and can do the research that needs to be done for our clients, or with my young moms that I have on my team.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot look at business cards. After about the 5th, my eyes are starting to blur. I cannot do data entry anymore. I have these moms that want to stay at home with their kids, which I did back in the 90s, 80s and 90s. And And this way they get to bring in some money for the family and yet not have to go off and be gone, so much of the kid's life.
Right.
I was a virtual employee back in 1991,
Wow.
before there was such a thing.
Right.
So, yeah. So I got to be mom and room mom and Girl Scout leader and all that fun stuff. But I still worked and still brought in, actually, I was a single mom. So I did it on my own.
So in 1991, everything was by phone and maybe like a carrier pigeon or fax or something like that. I don't think we even we had the cell phones that were in a bag back in 91.
No, it wasn't that bad. But they were this big, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, but I was on dial-up,
Yeah.
When the internet, when a page, it took about a minute for the page to load. I remember those days.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny how now if you're waiting 2 seconds, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
We are so spoiled. We are so spoiled.
So to kind of wrap this up, what's possibly the number one tip you could give our audience on either visibility or messaging?
Be authentic.
Yeah.
Really, be authentic. Because if you are authentic, it will shine through and people will want to work with you.
Yes.
If you're blowing smoke, they're going to realize it. We're not dumb. We know what's going on. So be authentic in your knowledge. If you don't know something, as I have been known to do, I will go, okay, well, I haven't done that yet, but let me go in and do it. If I have a new client that's in a completely different space than I'm used to doing, research for conferences or whatnot, I'll be real frank and say, okay, well, this is going to take some time because I'm really going to have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I will go ahead and find like 10 and say, do these fit your, am I in the right track? So it's really being authentic.
Yeah.
And doing what you say you're gonna do.
Yep. No, that is 100% on target. We obviously, the name of the show is Branding the Experience, and I can't tell you how many clients in the service-based space, whether it's somebody like a dentist or a fitness club or what have you, that will have spent great resources on a very sharp visual brand, but the culture can't support it. You go and you experience the brand, at the location or in some other way, and the experience just doesn't match that particular brand messaging, so to speak. That authenticity is just not there. So that is a great piece of advice.
What? And slick is not necessarily good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like, I'd rather know that you're working with me one-on-one and I'm going to do the best I can for you. I may not be, such and such an agency.
Yeah.
Who says that they're going to, up your presence in the world and charge you $10,000 to do so. No, I'm going to do it on a very organic level.
Yeah.
But you're going to get great service.
Right.
So
well, speaking of that, last question for our folks in the audience that are speakers, authors, fellow podcasters. I know we have them out there. How can they find you in order to take advantage of your service and your authenticity?
Oh, thank you. It's www.lvsconsultingservices.com. So my initials, lvsconsultingservices.com. On my homepage, and here's where you're going to roll your eyes at me. On my homepage is a white paper that's called the Top 10 Ways to Create Massive Growth in Your Speaking Business. Even if you don't have a speaking business, but you're starting a company, go in and download it, because there are many things with regards to social media. Some won't fit you, but some will. You do not have to put your email into my funnel. I will not be emailing you. If you find that this looks really good and you want our help, we're here. Reach out. I hate getting the 10,053 more emails from those that I download something free. So here's my little karma thing. You do not have to give me your email to get it. So just go ahead, go on in, take it, download it. And if you find it useful, give me a holler.
Awesome. Well, Lorianne, you've been a great guest. I'm certainly, after we finish our conversation, going to run and get that free gift. But you can still email me. You know, we've already emailed each other, so feel free to email me. But Lorianne, thank you for taking some time out of your day and giving us some really good and implementable, that last part being very important, tips that we can take to our business right away.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. You're a joy. I love talking to you.
Thank you. Tell my ex-wife that.
Well, you can tell my ex-husband. So
there we go. There we go. You were a joy. We'll tell our exes what a joy we were.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you again, Lorianne. Go and check out that website. Get that free gift. And thank you to all of you who have joined us today. And here's hoping, as always, that you're branding the experience at a very high level for all those you serve. Take care. Thank you for watching Branding the Experience. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're looking for a speaker on branding the experience, on workplace culture, or on business strategy, I have a number of different options for you. And my approach is always to entertain first, engage second, and educate third. It's a formula that leaves my audience not only laughing and enjoying, but also learning. So if you want a great speaker on branding, culture building, or strategy, I'd like to hear from you. Simply send me an email at kbator, B-A-T-O-R, at btcinc.net, or to learn more about the presentations that I've done that have been successful in the past, go to www.btcinc.net.